Hey everyone, today we are going to be talking about 5 ways to get media coverage for yourself as a freelancer. Now, this is something that might seem a little weird. Why do you need media coverage? You're not necessarily going to get clients who are going to be like, oh, I read about you in the newspaper. But the reality is that it's all part of a brand cycle. It gives you a chance to talk about what you do. It gives you a chance to talk about your expertise. You actually get to connect with new people, with journalists. Sometimes they know people as well. They can be a source of referrals. So it's all part of a bigger system that you're going to build for yourself as an independent entrepreneur with an independent brand. And then in order for these tips to work, you need 2 things in place. So first is you need to have a website. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't need to be, pretty and developed and all that. Just a website that has to state who you are, what you do, and have a way to get in touch with you. Must have those 3 things. The next thing that you need is a semi-active social media. So I don't mean that you need to be doing lives every day or posting on Instagram 4 or 5 times a day or tweeting all the time, but you need to be somewhat active. And I mean have a complete profile, so a real bio that's legitimate, a link to your personal website, maybe open DMs if you're on Twitter or Instagram, things like that, to have, again, an easy way to get in touch with you. So strategy 1 is called Help a Reporter Out, or HARO. It's a free newsletter-based email. You get up to 3 emails a day. You choose your categories, whether you want business, personal finance, health, fitness, whatever your niche is, whatever expertise you have. And it is loaded with people searching for sources. It takes a little bit of work. You have to skim through the email every day and then respond to pitches that make sense for you. But it can be a great passive way to get press opportunities into your inbox. The second is Help a B2B Writer. Now, this is kind of like HARO, but it's for corporate blogs. So this is where people who are writing for Shopify might post a request for help. And while this isn't traditional media, it can really help you build up your brand and build up your sector expertise, particularly as more and more companies become media companies. The other thing to note about Help a B2B Writer and existing on corporate blogs is some of these blogs get more traffic than media sites because they're paying for traffic. They're paying for way more click ads than a media company might have the budget for. So don't be afraid of that route, and Help a B2B Writer is just like HARO. You sign up, it's a newsletter base, you get emails when there's something that might be relevant to you, and then you can submit a pitch. Strategy 3 is pitching outlets to guest blog, whether that is an op-ed in traditional media, whether that's being assigned a freelance gig with that company, or submitting your own original piece as a guest blog. So if you're going to go the op-ed route, then you want to make sure you have a very timely and trendy opinion. Usually you're going to aim for a bit of controversy, and usually you're also going to aim for a controversy leaning the way that that publication thinks. So for example, if you were going to pitch the Financial Times or the Financial Post or whatever finance-focused magazine or publication, chances are you're going to need a finance-focused op-ed. So something about the economy, something about how that's going to help a certain sector or not help a certain sector based on whatever's going on. If you're going to ask an outlet to assign you a freelance gig, you can usually find what these publications are looking for and what they assign if you do the custom Google search, write for, W-R-I-T-E, publication name. So write for Business Insider, write for Forbes. That should take you to a website. Most of these major publications have them. And when you're doing this process, make sure you read that page as in-depth as you possibly can. Do what they are asking you to do. Either come with ideas or not, come with a draft or not, ask for the editor's perspective or not, whatever they tell you to do. The other thing here is don't be afraid to look at industry publications. So let's say, for example, you want to write about blockchain. Yes, there are major publications like Forbes that cover blockchain. A lot of other publications like a Cointelegraph will write about crypto and blockchain, and you might have a better chance of getting into those publications And they have enormous readerships. So don't look down upon them either. They're niche, but that doesn't mean they're small. And even if they are small, that doesn't mean they're low quality. Strategy 4 is to write for corporate blogs. So it's that similar situation to help a B2B writer where they're sending you pitches, but the other side is to ask if you can just write a guest post. Reach out to the editor, reach out to the content marketing manager and say, hey, I'm interested in giving you some free content. This is a two-way benefit. First of all, you're going to write content that's relevant to their audience. So that's fantastic. And then the second part is you're going to write content that's relevant to your expertise. That's what makes you valuable to them, but it also means that they are going to prop you up as an expert. The key is to make sure that when you're sending a pitch, it's relevant to what that company is talking about. And not just industry relevant, but focus relevant. So for example, when I wrote on Thrive Global is in many ways a corporate blog, in many ways a media company, founded by Arianna Huffington, who founded the Huffington Post. When I wrote for Thrive Global, everything there is focused on wellness, on mental well-being, on taking care of yourself at work. So while I can definitely talk about money management till the cows come home or talk about selling more as a freelancer, for Thrive Global, I wrote about mental health. I wrote about my own journey. I wrote about the tools that I use as an independent entrepreneur to take care of my mental health. And that's because it is a relevant topic for me, but it's relevant for them, which means there's a higher likelihood that they're going to promote that post and say, hey, you should read this. It's a great post. The final strategy, number 5, is the hardest, but can be really, really beneficial. And that's to engage with journalists on Twitter. Twitter specifically, because journalists are so active on Twitter due to the live nature of things. They will live tweet events. They will be active on there. And the fun part is a lot of them will put out pitches. They will say, I'm writing a story about X. Can you help? And if so, email me, DM me, whatever it is. If you start to research the publications you want to get into, you can even Google this and research the freelance writers for those publications. Find their Twitters, follow them, and just wait. Just follow them and see what happens. I've used this strategy to be featured in the Canadian press, which is the Associated Press in Canada. I'm being Canadian. I've used this strategy to be featured in Fast Company, in Forbes, and even in the New York Times. Part of it came through social media. But it's only difficult in the sense that it's a high failure rate. It just doesn't always work, and that's totally fine. But it's easy enough to passively follow these people, research who these journalists are, and wait and see what they post. So these are the 5 strategies. To sum up, we have help a reporter, we have help a B2B writer. Strategy 3 is pitching outlets. Strategy 4 is to write for corporate blogs. And then strategy 5 is to engage with journalists directly on Twitter. These strategies are ones that I've used to be featured in a lot of major media outlets, and I know that they work in time. They're not all going to work immediately, and they may not work for you and your circumstances, but if one doesn't, try the other ones. That's why there's 5 of them. And if these do work for you, let me know. And if you have any other questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe, and you'll get a lot more tips from me on building a successful freelance business.